Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad to hear on this first day of Feb. You know, it's amazing that January is already gone and we're already getting into February. And like I said yesterday, it was a short month, so it's going to be gone by before we know it. But we're starting February off with a really cool snap. Our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center. Folks, it's going to get at 34 degrees tonight. The high today being at low 60s, maybe 62, but nice weather, great weather. It's going to be windy. Marine forecast, winds coming out of north-northwest, anywhere from 15 to 20. And later on this afternoon into the night, we might get a northeast kind of blowing, but it's going to be strong. We really had some strong winds this whole week. You saw where the power went off in several places, and the winds has really been strong. But that rain was good. Everybody enjoyed getting some of that rain, even though we had a lot of it came in sort of horizontal instead of vertical. The river readings Apalachicola this week will be 1.3, and the Choctaw River will be a 4.5, and the Choctaw will be going up. Okay, the water temperature. I double-checked it and I triple-checked it because I want to make sure before I tell you what the water temperature is going to be this weekend. Folks, the water temperature I got from National Weather Service is 66 degrees. Now, that's getting close to our magic number, and we'll talk about Spanish and all being the first wave of fish coming in, and I've had some students already catch some Spanish, and we'll talk about that later in our Friday fishing forecast. But when we saw 66 degrees, I just had to double-check it. Now, I promise you, it won't stay up there. It's going to dip back down. But right now, it did hit it. So, you know, a lot of times this time of year, boom, boom, and but when it gets 66 and sort of stays at it, that's when we really start seeing some movement. But I've talked to a lot of folks this past week, and we're all saying the same thing. It might be an early run of the Spanish, and it might be an early run of the cobia. We'll just have to wait to see. Just got off the phone before the show with Captain Blair Morgan and got a report from down there. Blair has mainly been hunting, and now it's wrapped up in Tate's Hill and Apalachicola Forest. The hunt season over in those areas, but they've had an excellent last week of hunting. Some nice bucks they took, and they're all sort of putting up their hunting gear and getting ready. He's going to get his boat ready, and he'll be out fishing next week or two. So we'll get some good fish reports. Now, he did say the sheephead, and it goes without saying, every year in January and especially in February, the sheephead are excellent around the Apalachicola Bay Bridge, so keep that in mind. That's the biggest bite down there right now. Again, we'll talk about that later. Okay, our tides, our tide chart over here. We're in neap tide, so I won't give you times. We do have a high tide right after lunch, about 2 o'clock. It will be dropping out this afternoon. Now tomorrow they're going to start picking up. We're going to have an incoming tide, and all the way to the middle of the afternoon, and then next week, really strong tides, and you can see we have that every 2 weeks. We'll have all of next week's be excellent. Next weekend will be excellent fishing. So I'm going ahead and planning a good fishing trip for next weekend. So tides are going to be pretty strong starting next week. But this weekend we'll have some deep tides and that northwest wind. Now I can promise you, places like North Bay and in Apalachicola Bay up on East Bay, we get our north wind coming down. It's going to be blowing that water out of the bay, and you're going to have some really shallow water up in that northern end of all the bay system, the Choctawhatchee Bay, all the way down to the Apalachicola Bay, and even down Carabel. Okay, every Friday morning I like to give a big shout out to Carabel, down to Sea Quarters Marina, Millard, and all those folks down there who watch the show. We appreciate y'all watching. I know y'all getting ready to be kicking off a good fishing season real soon. Also, a special happy birthday to Jeff Peck, our cameraman, producer, director, wears many hats for Panhandle Outdoors, and Jeff celebrating birthday going off this weekend and having a big time. So happy birthday, Jeff. Let's take this break, and we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Hope you're planning for a great weekend outdoors, and we want to get you started with some all kind of good stuff. But, you know, we always talking about taking wildlife photographs, and just we have several people that send them in on a regular basis. But I got a situation I want to show you some pictures here. That my sister-in-law has some relatives up in Dothan, and my sister-in-law and her husband love feed birds in the backyard, and they really specialize in hummingbirds. Well, this expert was coming down from Montgomery this past weekend, Mr. Bassett, and he was a hummingbird expert, and he heard about Mayor Hall and David having some hummingbirds every day, so he called them and made an appointment to go there at 8 o'clock last Saturday morning. And what he wants to do is band them. He's really good at it. That's his life ambition, and he's doing He's an expert in hummingbirds, okay? So had great photographs, and he bands these hummingbirds, and then they find them later, and they report the numbers to him. And he's had them banded in Alabama and found in Alaska. He's had them banded in Texas and found up in Newfoundland. So it's amazing that these hummingbirds, and hummingbird to me is one of the most fascinating creatures God has given us. It's just how those things fly is amazing. But he came to their backyard, and he had them take down all the hummingbird feeders. He put up one like a little feeder with a little cage in it, and sure enough, within a short period of time, some of his hummingbirds started going in, and he was able to put them in a cage. Now I'm going to show you some pictures. They sent me some pictures. I want to share them with you because I think you'll really enjoy it. I got a kick out of them. Now, this is just the size of them. They're real gentle, and they don't panic when they were caught. And these are just some of the feathers. And there were some ruby-throated hummingbirds. And look how small they're, okay? This next picture. They're very calm and serene. They don't panic, like I say, when they're holding them. But look, that's his thumbnail. And their heartbeat is around 1,200 heartbeats a minute. 1,200 heartbeats. Mary Hall got to hold one of them, and she said it's just like a vibration. And they will even sit in your hand. And now look at a little pink spot right above. They'll put a little pink, and that stays on about 2 months. That means that bird has been banded. And what he did, he took out a small band and put them on the foot there, and you can hardly tell. Look how small they are. It's a fascinating. Okay. That's another picture. That's a ruby-throated hummingbird, and okay, that's the pictures. And anyway, they were able to put a band on a couple of them and let them go. And she said she was holding them in the hand, and everybody got to actually pet or touch the hummingbird, and he just sat there. And then when they said, now he told everybody, y'all say goodbye to him because I'm gonna let them fly away. And she was holding him in her hand, and what he did, he just tapped her hand like that up underneath it, and all just that vibration, just boom, and he was gone. And I just want to pass that on to you. God did a presentation up in Landmark up in Dothan on hummingbirds, but that was a personal experience some of my family members had, and he's going to let them know soon. He'll find someone to find the band. It's a real small. She said it takes like 5,000 of those bands to weigh an ounce. So you can imagine. And by the way, the hummingbirds, he weighed it and measured it, and the hummingbirds weigh about 3 or 4 grams. I mean, they're really small animals. So it's really birds. So I was fascinated. Thought you'd enjoy seeing that. Now, a couple things. I always run into people at opportune times to talk about Panhandle Outdoors. I get a kick out of it because I'm glad to watch the show, but I'm glad they're interested in outdoors. And I was pumping gas the other afternoon and ran into Darren, and he was one lane over from me. He said, "Hey, Coach," he said, "You don't know me, but I watch your show." And he's an engineer out at the base and all. He said, he said, "I have 2 brothers up in Indiana that love to come down and amberjack fish." He said they love to catch amberjack. Want to know about the season. And I told him, season, I double-checked it, but it closes on June 1 and opens back up on August 1. So usually, closes June and July. But amberjack, we're talking back and forth about it. Amberjack. There's a lot. I mean, catching an amberjack, they're strong, they're fighting, and they taste really good. And he said he can't wait for the brothers to come down and do it. So, Darren, good talking to you at the gas station, and I appreciate you speaking to me first. And another, I had yesterday at the hospital. Let's see, this was Randy. Randy wanted me to check with Stan Kirkland. Randy bow hunts the Choctahatchee River area. And he brought up something I didn't know. Maybe you may know more about it than I do. I'm going to check with Stan or Ken Paramore. When he's bow hunting, he said there's an overlap between small game season and archery season of a 2-week overlap. And he said he's up in the tree, and some of his buddies are, up in the trees and all. And he said these squirrel hunters walk by looking up at him and all, and with 22 rifles, and it's sort of scary to him. So he didn't know if there's a reason he had a 2-week overlap. I didn't realize there was an overlap, and if there is, then that could be a dangerous situation. So we'll check on it. I'll check with Stan or Ken and see what that is, because that could be, you're up there shooting a squirrel and the squirrel's running, and before you know it, he's jumping another tree and you shooting at that tree, and all of a sudden there's a hunter up there with a bow. So plus, it's just not safe, and those kind of things can be avoided. So I didn't know there was an overlap like that. Okay? So anytime, if you see me out somewhere and speak to me and all, I appreciate it. And if you got a question on outdoors, if I don't know the answer, I'll certainly try to find it. That's one on amberjack and one on bow hunting and squirrel hunting. Okay? That takes care of this section. Let's take our break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. I'm going to show you a picture now. This is a fascinating picture to me. Stan Kirkland sent it to me, and it's a 1992 picture. You know, we're talking about these high fenced areas and put the deer in and just, you know, raise your deer and protect them all and get these monster bucks. And lots of people do that all across the southeast and in Texas, of course. But here locally in Bay County, these guys back in 1990, Hunt Oil Company used to have about 5,000 acres of land up around the Sand Hills, and then of course it's been broken up since then. They've sold in all kinds of different parcels. By that time, a couple of guys, George Johnson, a couple of guys. I want to show you this picture here. This is bucks that were taken here in Bay County before 1992, 1980s, and all these guys did. They just they had a simple management plan. Let the small ones walk, and you can see these trophy bucks. Like I say, they were within 12. 15 miles of the seashore, and they were caught. I mean, they were shot up in the area of the Sand Hills, and every one of them were taken at a prime time when they were, you know, gotten large and grown enough, and they just selected them a little bit at a time. But they had 5,000 acres they could manage, and there's a great picture there. Stan was just talking. We were talking about it, just in general, if all the landowners could get together and everybody, just, you know, everybody let those small ones walk, or even if the state would come up with our area, if we have a 4 or 6 point rule, we would all be harvesting those kind of bucks. So that is something to look at. This is a long time now before the fenced-in areas became popular, and this was done in open range and all. I thought you might enjoy that. Don't forget now, Monday night will be the Fly Fishing Club meeting. I've got a couple of pictures to show you here. There'll be. This was a pattern. They did this for the Panama City Rescue Mission this past year for the Christmas booth they had over there. I thought that was a good one. One of the things they do, want to teach young people how to tie flies, starting off with kids right there. Then also had a booth, just show you different things. If you just learning or just want to get into fly fishing, it'd be an excellent opportunity. Also made one for Governor Sarah Palin Christmas 2008. Okay, all right. So now, one of the things too, I also want to show you Captain Ken Paramore. You know, I showed his picture. Let me show you this picture here, okay? Ken got him another buck. He's got 2 bucks this week. Now, look, check this out. A nice 10-point. Ken got, you know, he got one a couple of days ago, and then his son, James, got one also this same day. So they're gonna have a lot of venison at the Paramore household, okay? I want to show you one more picture. I had Bob. Remember, look at all these flounder. Bob was in here the other day with Divers Den. And just after the show, he went out. He told me he was going out diving and get some flounder, and they brought back an ice chest full of flounder. He just sent that to me. I got that in last night. Bob, thank you for sharing that with us. And one more picture. I was talking about wildlife photography. Tom Gurley, our resident wildlife photographer here, that's at the state park. And is that not a great picture? Just coming in for the landing. Tom always takes great pictures and sends them to us. So appreciate that, Tom. All right. Let's see, we've got a couple other things too. One of the things, a couple of late winter things to do. I just jotted this down last night. We're in the late winter, sort of in the hunt season. Did a couple of things I like to do as an outdoorsman. One of the things, especially after this week, all that wind and all, when I'm up in the woods, I sort of mark some, if I see some blown down limbs or trees and all, the first thing comes to mind, aha, there's some firewood for next year. So I'll come back after the hunting season, like in March or April, and cut up that wood. But I'll try to, if I'm walking through the woods, I remember where that's at. So marking firewood is something I do in late season. Another thing I do, and you might want to do it, is shooting lanes from your tree houses or your ground blinds. Check those shooting lanes. Make sure they're clear and make sure they're in the right place. You might want to move them a little bit for next year. But you know, if they were productive this year, of course, leave them like they are. But you'll be seeing some trees. I'm going to cut that tree down for next year for a good shot at it. Also, the pattern, the patterns of big bucks are walking on the scrapes. I was fortunate this season to find a good pattern, to find a good scrape, and I was able to capitalize on it. So if you find this scrape was different place than it was last year, but the same area, and you know what I'm talking about, the same area he was in, but he came on a different path. So check your scrape lines for next year. Go ahead and get your camera set up and get it set up for next season as soon as you can. Also, 2 more things. Check your scope. If your scope been knocked around a little bit in a truck or something, you might want to go out and practice shoot it and make sure it's right on for the last week or 2 of hunting season. And the last thing, hog hunting. I used to do some hog hunting. I don't have a chance to do much of it anymore, but this is an excellent time of year to go hog hunting. Nice and cool. some water in the swamp. The hogs are moving out a little bit. Great time of the year to go hog hunting. And I'll end this section with my tip of the day. I mentioned it the other day during the show, and I've already got John Rush, my intern, has already memorized it. You don't know till you go. So this weekend, don't sit by the, get up in the morning, it's going to feel warm in the bed, and you don't want to get out and say, well, I don't know if the bucks are running, I don't know if those sheepheads are going to be biting. You're not going to know until you get up and go. So go and get your cup of coffee and head out for the woods or head out for the water. So don't hesitate in doing that, okay? And also, February 1, also, I mentioned this. To me, it's an unofficial, official start of cobia looking. And you know what I mean? The guys are going to start talking about, they're going to start texting each other, calling each other, seen any? Seen any? And of course, that's what they're talking about. Not if you caught any, just if you've seen any. That's step one. Once you start seeing them, then hopefully it's only a matter of time before you catch them. So this is unofficial, official starting of cobia looking, 1st of February. I always think about that, okay? Let's take our break. I tell you what, let's go over our fishing times for today. Our fishing times are from 3:40 to 5:40 this morning, and this afternoon, 3:35 to 5:35. That's our fishing times. And also, I need a draw for Tarpon Dock Seafood. I about forgot about that. First drawing, this will be $25 from Tarpon Dock, and the winner is Willahima Swearingen. Willahima Swearingen, that's $25 from Tarpon Dock, and now a big red snapper. Be good to have this weekend with it. And that winner is from Chain Lake and Greenhead, June Alderman. June Alderman, okay? The two ladies win this morning. Y'all send in there. We're going to be giving stuff away all year. We gave away like $8,000 worth of stuff last year, and all kinds of stuff we're giving away. So send in your registration. We'll put you in there. All right, let's take our last break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to our famous Tarpon Dock Friday fishing forecast. And it's been this week, a warm early part of the week, then real stormy the latter part of the week, but some good fishing was done. I got some good reports. I start down here at Port St. Joe in Apalachicola Bay. We had some redfish caught back here again behind St. Vincent Island right in here. And what had happened also, you saw the reports earlier of the Taylor family. They got some really nice fish again in these feeder creeks. You saw just everything. They had stripers. They had stripers. Let's see. They had redfish. They had some nice speckled trout, some 25, 24, 25-inch speckled trout. So they had a good run right in there. Apalachicola Bay. Again, the sheephead. The biggest thing is Apalachicola Bay now will be the sheephead. Okay. Now we're going over here to St. Joe Bay. This time, especially this weekend, will be an excellent time to go up here and fish what we call the T. There'll be I promise you, there'll be some nice fish caught up in here. You put in here at White City. You put in down here at the bridge. But this is a good time to fish right in here. We're getting our north wind for the weekend, so it's going to be. You don't want to be fishing down here in the south end of St. Joe Bay. You want to be up here fishing along the city, what they call the city beach up in here. Be some nice trout fishing around the city beach and also up here around the marina. So St. Joe Bay will be offering some really good fishing. I will not get out here in the middle of the bay with this northwest wind coming. All right, we had some good fishing over here in the East Bay. I want to move over here to the East Bay this past week. East Bay has some good fishing and up in this area right here by Tyndall. And also some good reports. John was able to, the big deal, John Rush went out with Mark Cow and his son. They caught some nice redfish right up in this area right in here. Let me zoom in on and give you a little better shot of it. Okay, that's going to be a little bit better of a shot. We also had some nice. Some of my students went out of the pass when the weather was nice early part of the week, and they actually were going down Shell Island. They were looking for redfish, and folks, they came out right here, went down Shell Island, and they ran into some really nice schools of Spanish mackerel right in here. Not too far off. They were trying to find some tailing reds, and the Spanish mackerel right in here, some excellent, and they just stopped and started catching Spanish. So that gives us some hopes of early Spanish mackerel coming through here. Okay, but the area that John and them were fishing up here in the muddy bayou and all with some really good redfish in here, and also we caught some redfish up in the northern end. It also has some good fishing over here around Goose Bayou in this area here. Now let's go over to Choctawhatchee Bay. We had some good reports from Choctawhatchee Bay. Bill Allen and his crew went up there around this area right up here. I got Bill in the studio with me. Bill, y'all caught him right up in here? Right up in here, caught some nice up in here. You put in your boat right here, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So listen, I mean, I got a whole crew here in the studio helping me on this fishing report. So caught some nice fish up here. Also got some good reports up in Jolly Bay was a very good, and Sheephead was really good around the bridges on 331, and also said a bait shop on the north end had some fiddler crabs up on the north end of Causeway in 331. So overall it was a good week, early part of the week. Now this weekend, you know, with this wind coming in like this and all, again, I will tell you to fish the northern end of the bay, fish these feeder creeks, and get up in them. The speckled trout will be moving up in there. It's going to be a great time. Also, I know some of y'all going to the woods. It'll be a great time being tree stand. And don't leave those woods too early. But I want to go back here. I want to look one more time. Let's go back to St. Andrew Bay. Okay, like I was talking about these boys on the Spanish. Now I can't overemphasize that. But remember, our peer guys are going to be looking out for the cobia right here. The first thing they're going to see is the Spanish coming through here. And once they see that, they know the cobia is not going to be too far behind them. So these areas along the beach, red fishing has been good in the surf. Okay, let me zoom in on here. The jetties are, again, outgoing tide, but we're about to run out of time. The biggest thing right now is just make up your mind you want to get out this weekend and go outdoors and do something fun and outdoors. It can be fishing, it can be hunting, it can be wildlife photography. It won't be too bad even to go camping and all, but the biggest thing is, you know, get out there and do it. We're wrapping up another week. We're going to next week. Got a big week planned. You know, be sure and tune in to us. And if you get a chance to get outdoors, just sit back and enjoy it, and take your family or friends, and just, you know, again, just specialize in whatever you think you can do the best. All right, and just enjoy it. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. It's been a great week on Panhandle Outdoors. Appreciate all the help that's here. I get in the studio. Appreciate you watching the show. Appreciate you spending time with our sponsors, and most of all, sometime today, you take your time and do something good for somebody. God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.